The Walther PDP Match steel frame got a lot of attention when it launched, but at the same time they also released the PDP Match with a polymer frame, which is a new 5-inch version of the PDP, leaving a lot of us asking what is the difference between this new PDP Match and the old 5-inch guns. Welcome back to the Humble Marksman channel. I'm David and this is the Walther PDP Match. Now, for those of you guys who've been around a while, you're aware of the meme, but I'll just say it for you guys who are new to joining us. Nobody really knows how you should pronounce Walther. Is it Walther or Walther? People have really strong opinions and absolutely nothing to back them up, because if you listen to the German pronunciation, it's definitely one way, but we like to Anglicanize it another way. I'm going to say Walther because it's easier to pronounce. I'll be saying it a lot. So for those of you who are new to the channel, I love to look at handguns through a lens of performance shooting. I am a competitive shooter, and this technically is a competition gun. Now, the Walther PDP is a duty gun, a performance duty gun, you might say, and this new 5-inch version of it is supposed to be what the people who carry Walthers for serious use can bring to pistol matches and shoot and have a very similar experience to what their carry or duty gun might be. Now, the PDP Match is going to be stepping into a pretty crowded field of other polymer frame 5-inch long slide type guns like the Glock 34, the M&P 5-inch, the Shadow Systems DR920L, and pretty much anything else that is an extended slide version of a duty style gun. The MSRP in the fourth quarter of 2023 is pretty steep on this at about $10.99. We'll get into what that gets you here in a second. As of right now, the lowest price I'm able to find on the internet is about $1,020 for this thing. With time, the price may creep down sub 1,000, but you're going to be spending nearly 4 figures on this thing. So in the box, what it's coming with is 3 20-round magazines. Now, when I say 20-round magazines, what that means is Walther took their existing 18-round tubes and put a +2 aluminum base pad on it. So you're getting 20 rounds right out of the box, which is pretty good. And you're going to need those base pads because the mag well that they have right here will not allow the gun to accept the polymer base pad magazines. Good news is that the aluminum base pad magazines sell for not a lot more, like $5 more than the OEM regular magazines. So it's not going to be a total violation of your piggy bank if you have to get more of them, but magazines for the PDP are already pricey, coming in around $40. So the other 2 things that come on this pistol is out of the box, it comes with the dynamic performance trigger. Now, for those of you who haven't experienced the Walther dynamic performance trigger, it basically turns a trigger into a mouse button that you double click with about a 4 to 5 pound brake. It does not feel like 4 to 5 pounds. If I handed this to you and you pulled the trigger on it, you would be impressed with it. You would assume that it was a sub 4 pound trigger, but it's not. It's right at 5 pounds on my Lyman digital trigger scale. Trigger pull brake really isn't everything. It's really the character of the trigger. You need a short take up to get to a very predictable and firm wall, which the dynamic performance trigger provides, and then a little bit of over travel. It's probably got the shortest reset of any trigger on the market, honestly. There's almost no over travel, but it's got enough weight to where you're not going to double with the gun or anything like that. It's an incredibly shootable trigger. The ergonomics and reach on the dynamic performance trigger are basically perfect, married with a pretty good frame from the Walther. The other new feature that's exclusive to the Polymer Match is this new 5-inch slide. Now, those of you who are familiar with the regular PDPs know that the serrations are mega usable, and this is no exception, except for because it's a 5-inch slide, they introduced an extra serration, and the serrations actually allow the barrel to kind of poke out and join the fun. Coming back further on the slide, there is an optic cut. You actually have to register the gun with Walther and they will send you an optic plate of your choosing, so there is a little bit of wait time there. The sights that come on the gun, this is one area that is kind of tough to win at, but they're basically Glock style sights. They call them industry standard sights or something like that, which is, manufacturer speak for Glock sights. So that's pretty cool because sights are a highly personal choice. They would have lost if they put competition sights on it. They would have lost if they put night sights on it, because nobody is happy with the sights that come out of the box. The sights that do come in the place are actually very usable. It has a fully adjustable rear, so they did a good job. Real quickly, I just want to give a shout out to my supporters over on Locals and Patreon. You guys make videos like this possible, and I really appreciate your support. So again, thank you guys. And if you're looking at spoiling yourself, check out the link in the description to the Axel X cores. They've got some new versions of them that don't have Bluetooth compatibility that brought the price way down. That's what I use on the range when I'm filming every single time, and honestly shoot matches with them. But also in no way should you use code HUMM at Optics Planet. It wouldn't save you like 7%. Or code HUMBLE at LOK Grips, which wouldn't save you like 10%. Don't try and do that. So getting back into the gun, the perception of quality with the Walther PDPs just in general is very, very high. The sculpt of the grip is very, very good. The texture that they put on the grip really locks into your hand, and the texture is brought up all the way underneath the slider release, allowing the critical part of your palm on your support hand to make a great contact and keep contact with the frame and recoil. And that'll come up in the shooting bit, but it's good stuff. The trigger guard is super broad and gives excellent access to let the gun sink down about as low as it can get. It is not a low bore axis gun, it's kind of a medium bore axis, so the gun does have a little bit of flip, but everything about the gun just feels really, really good. There is a positive kind of spring weight to all the different controls, providing a lot of user feedback, which is really nice because you know exactly when you're like getting on the wall. It has a super firm wall. You can feel the slide release and everything, so super high quality feeling gun. So let's talk about shooting performance. The PDP, if you've ever shot one, is very snappy. The recoil impulse, especially if you're using like 115s or 124s, is very sudden and abrupt. The PDP Match, because it uses all the same parts as the regular PDPs with the exception of the slide, is very similar in that regard. This gun will see the most benefit from like some heavier for caliber stuff like Federal Syntech 150 grain or the Jello shots that are coming out, or just any of the commercial reloads that are 147 grain. That's the kind of ammo that you would want to use to get the most out of this pistol. It's going to slow the slide speed down and make it more predictable, but if you like a snappier response and return to zero and just a very quick recoil impulse, this gun is really well set up for that with, you know, the traditional range loads. Now, don't let that scare you, because the ergonomics of the pistol are such that it bites in really good and you've got excellent control thanks to the great grip texture. So the gun returns to zero really, really well. So despite being a very sudden recoil impulse, it comes back to zero on the target very, very quickly and very predictably. It is a very easy gun to shoot, and Walther, because they use their stepped chamber in their barrels for whatever reason, they make the guns insanely accurate, and this is no exception. I mean, this is hole-on-hole accurate in a way that most striker fire guns aren't. I'm a huge fan of my Q4 SF that I actually recently was able to get a carry holster for finally, because it is able to deliver like hammer fired gun precision out of a striker fired platform, and this gun is in that same boat. The step chambers provide a little bit better barrel velocity, which I think assists in tightening up the grips, but the gun is laser beam accurate. It comes back to zero really, really well, but you have to be able to manage the sudden recoil impulse, but that can be mitigated a little bit through the heavy for caliber type loadings we discussed. Since this is a PDP, the aftermarket support is already there for it. There are plenty of magazines. The 5-inch PDP holsters will already accommodate this gun. The steel frame had issues with holster compatibility, but this gun fits in the holsters no problem. Generally, the sight plates haven't been an issue. There are aftermarket sights because they're Glock sights. Anything you'd want for this gun, it's already there. And that's going to be where I kind of leave you, because this gun is about $200 more than the Pro SD version of the gun, which is the 4.5-inch version of the gun with a threaded barrel. Is this something you'd be into for the extra space to manipulate the slide with the full dynamic performance trigger, or would you be okay with the Pro SD? I'm curious, and I'd love to know if you'd sound off in the comments. As always, I appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.